Good afternoon and good evening and welcome to Seedcast. It is Tuesday, the 9th of February. I'm joined, as always, on our Seedcast shows by the esteemed John Fuggles. John, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Good evening. It's snowing outside. I've been sledding, which is why I'm in a T-shirt now. So
you've been sledding?
Yeah.
That's disappointing because there's no snow out here. It is flat. There is nothing exciting happening. It is no snow anymore. And we've all got COVID. And it is just basically a big X on our door, and that's it.
So you've got to walk around with a bell in front of you. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, Nat's like the wanted woo did, but she doesn't do much around the house anyway, so that's fine. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We are also live this evening across our Clubhouse platform as well. So we have a Clubhouse chat group as well that the esteemed Fuggles has set up for us, and we are hoping that we're coming through loud and clear. So this is not just live through LinkedIn, Facebook, and all the other platforms, but we are live on Clubhouse. So please join us, Anthony Baker and John Fuggles.
LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, carrier pigeon, anything.
Carrier pigeon, perfect. Showing your age, John, showing your age. So how was World War One? Anyway, so we are live, everybody. So this platform allows us to become live to you. So if you want to have a conversation with us or anything, you want to get involved in the conversation, please feel free, click the chat button, chuck a message out to us. We'll make sure that we get back to you through all of them. I think we're on Lysis Recruit, Networking for You, Seedcast, Mission 23, and we are all right, live and ready. So a little bit about myself for the people that don't know. Anthony Baker, philanthropist and...
What? Really?
No.
I'll send the invoice.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a salesperson. I work for Lysis Recruit on the global business development, and also I run a recruitment company at the same time, a recruitment company that we've built. We operate all across the world in financial crime compliance and specifically in that space, in the banking, crypto, anything that's regulated by the regulator. The FCA.
You're really struggling with this COVID, aren't you? Seriously?
Yeah,
seriously, you're struggling with this. This is interesting to see.
Yeah,
in a bad way.
It is. So John has dragged me from my deathbed to come and do this for you today, but that's great. So today we're going to talk. About a couple of things really. After John's introduced himself and what John does, and we are going to discuss peak performance and performance management. Two very different things that have similar names to it, but we did try to do this last Friday on Clubhouse, which we figured out the worst time if you're in England to do anything and push it out on Clubhouse is 7 p.m. chaps. So if you're in that environment at that time, then please.
The irony that we're talking about peak performance while you're struggling just to put two words together is not lost on me.
I think it was peaked performance, wasn't it?
So my name is John Fuggles. I run a consultancy company called Mission 23. We are a business consultancy. We look at companies' performance and make basically improvements to help them become peak performers, i.e. grow their revenues, grow their profits, grow their margins, grow their business. That's what we do.
Absolutely wonderful. Wonderful. So what's interesting that's going on in yourself this week, John?
Well, apart from sledding, that was very cool.
I can't believe you've been sledding. I'm a little bit disappointed now. So I'm on the south coast in a little town called Goring next to Worthing. I would say Worthing, but maybe the next postcode up. And we are on the beach. And unfortunately, there is no snow on the beach. There are lots of people because apparently people don't understand that there's a sick house here. But otherwise, there's not much going on. No snow. There was a little bit of snow, but it didn't really do too much.
So no, me for this week has been kind of interesting because there's an awful lot personal stuff going on. It's half term next week, birthdays this week, all that kind of stuff, personal stuff. But what's been really interesting is I took some time out to kind of focus on a few personal things and prepare some stuff, and just creating that space is sometimes we're all a bit too frantic, a bit too rushed, and a bit kind of charging from one thing to another. And sometimes just giving yourself a little bit of space, not necessarily downtime, but just a slight variation of pace and just the ability to pause is great. And for me this week, just been great. It's just been about that kind of relaxation. Not relaxation, that's not fair. Just a slight change of pace for some of the day, which has been, I found very interesting. So that's the best thing for me.
I think that's interesting, and the fact that we are talking about peak performance and then where you get it and how you get it and who has it and how to find it, grow it, or fake it. And I think that's not a bad thing. I mean, we obviously are eating where we're sleeping where we work nowadays, and I actually have to go up the little ladder. Oh, Gesundheit. I have to go up the ladder to my office, which is upstairs in my loft area. And it kind of, that's my transition, right? That's where I go from, it's
back in the room.
Yeah, and I like that, and I think that gives me the opportunity to be able to focus and get it done. When I sit in this seat, this is the business seat, right?
That's really interesting you said it, because to you put on your game face, walk in the room, all that kind of stuff, and it's a conscious thing. There's an awful lot of children that are homeschooling. There's an awful lot that are not homeschooling, let's be honest, at the moment, but that's another problem. There's an awful lot of children homeschooling, and people don't have umpteen spare rooms, right? So the poor kids are doing their homework either on the dining table or in their bedroom, and there's no separation for them. So you as part of your business do it habitually is a positive thing, but there's a whole load of kids out there, their classroom is their bedroom, and there's no separation. It's an interesting thing.
This is my son's computer.
Exactly. You need that separation, whether you're a child or an adult. And there's an awful lot of companies, people working from home, and we're not geared up to do that. So they are still working on the dining table, or, they've got something propped up in the corner somewhere. And you need that separation. It's a bit like we're just talking about having some sort of change of pace. You need that, if the commute is up a flight of stairs or down a flight of stairs, that's great. But if the commute it's there instead of there, it's not really working.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so peak performance, John, what is it?
For me, well, so from an HR perspective, it's actually about getting the best out of your team. It's about sort of identifying, what is the best that you can achieve collectively. So, I mean, you look at, the rugby at the weekend, right? Ireland played with 14 men for most of the game. Yet they played phenomenally well and didn't lose by much. Yet 14 men for most of the game. They should have got trounced, even if it is an international. And then at the other end, you've got Scotland, who absolutely fairly beat England. But England was just somebody put a fantastic post up the other day that there were 15, Englishmen lost somewhere in Twickenham. Don't could go and find them. That'd be lovely. They were completely lost, and it's interesting that come the I don't know the Scottish anthem, but come the man, come the hour. Oh no, that's the Irish one. But that's the point, right? There's a team that should have done really well and they didn't, and there's another team that should have got trounced and they didn't. It's all in your head and it's all in your heart.
You know what's interesting about that, as a professional athlete, as somebody who has won multiple titles, international, national, and so on, windsurfing, you sometimes, I was never a team sport guy, right? I was the selfish. This about me. I'm going to go out. I'm going to look great. I'm going to perform as best I can. And if I don't do well, then it's my fault, not everybody else. Collectively have a bad experience through the whole team is something that's really, really hard to come by. But it could almost be down to the food that they ate beforehand, the way that they trained and set up before the game wasn't correct. It was slightly out of line. They might have found that they were going to reach peak performance, in a game's time.
Yeah, and you had that with the Olympics, right? You had all the people gearing up for the 2020 Olympics, and then it got delayed, and people were saying, they all aim to peak. And there's a guy called Danny Krates who I know very, very well. He's a Paralympian, and if they change the date by a week, it completely changes everything. Yeah. I mean, the reality is, the rugby, yes, one of you has a bad game, you all have a bad game kind of philosophy. But it's the same in companies. You're only as good as your weakest person, and you've got to make sure that the weakest person in performance improves and gets better and to move the team forward. Sport is a team game for most people, and work is a team game for most people. Even in sales, the lone salesman. No, you've still got people back at the office sort of going into bat for you. So in terms of you talked about peak performance, it's how the collective works as a whole but also within that, how the individuals work, right? And you've got to manage that and nurture that and help them grow. So we talk about growth mindset as we're on.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Clubhouse.
Yeah, which we should talk about mindset because we're on Clubhouse. Are we still on Clubhouse? If anyone's on Clubhouse, we hope that you're listening to this. Hopefully it's coming through loud and clear. But peak performance is a state in which the person performs to the maximum of their ability, characterized by subjective feelings of confidence, effortlessness, and total concentration on the task. That is the definition, if you like,
which you just happen to have read. Yes,
I'm reading it off the. I'm reading it. This is not. I'm not. I didn't pull this from thin air. Please, John, you know me. So what I find interesting about this is, I've lived in lots of different countries. I lived in the US. I love American football, played American football, love Aussie rules football, plays Aussie rules, play rugby now in the UK for Sussex Police, play football in for a couple of teams in local. And I've never really done team sports. So it's never really been, it's never been, well, it's we all lost this game rather than, or just you lost this game, In Australia, right, Australian rules football, you build a team. Yep. So your team has 2 years of success usually. I'm the Eagles supporter. The Eagles did it. So they build a team. They all get used to each other. Because they only usually have 2 years of fitness because it's so, hardcore. So they then build it into the team. So they start last and then they build themselves up and then they win. And the other teams do it, as they go along. And Himanshu, mate, yeah, we have to catch up, buddy. We're not all that well in our house right now, so I will get to you at some point. But it's more about the personal mindset and the one's pride and passion. We'll get to mindset in a second when we talk about that, and then we'll go through that with performance management and how the reason why we did peak performance management. Peak performance, you either good at it or you're not, or you get someone to educate you and so on and so forth. And then performance management is a way of educating people who cannot achieve it, and you can chuck some stuff on it. So we'll talk about that afterwards. But that I find that really interesting because if you look at the Super Bowl, and I watched the Super Bowl again today, and Kansas City won last year. They've got the quarterback who is going to be the next, Tony Romo, and Cowboy support, by the way. And you've got Tom Brady's 43 years old.
That's an old man.
Kronk, he's almost as old as me. Can you imagine going and playing NFL? No. So Kronk, who was, he was sat on the couch. I've got some more lights. Hang on. Kronk was sat on the couch, before the season started. And how would you go from winning the Super Bowl with the Patriots to then going winning it with Tampa Bay? And to watch that game, to watch him connect, 85 years old they are together, Kronk and Tom Brady, and they almost single-handedly. They obviously, it wasn't single-handedly, but they almost, he scored 2 touchdowns together. And, these guys are 6'6", by the way, Kronk is, and 120 kilos. He's tall. He's 4 inches taller than me and 5 kilos heavier than me.
And a lot quicker.
But
the thing about that, and I haven't seen this year's Super Bowl, to be honest. The thing about team sports is when one person screws up, cocks up, if you're a true team, and this applies in business as well, no one says you cocked up, but everyone's like, move on. Just as soon as one person makes a mistake, move on, you all learn. Because they realize you all fail together. And when someone does well, absolutely share the celebration, whether it's giving them a hug over the try line or whatever, or in work doing high fives around the office.
Yeah.
But really good performing teams on the pitch, off the pitch, really good performing teams, no one, in any failure gets blamed. You all learn and you kind of move forward. There's no finger pointing in really good performing teams.
So what the problem I have with mindset, John, and I know that we talk about this all the time, and it's a word that I find every 2-bit coach in the world is talking about mindset. You've got to be able to shift that mindset into a way that's,
overcome obstacles.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that, if mindset is the area that you're focusing on, and you think that is going to make you a winner or that's going to educate you, you're wrong. I could stand on the line of a 100-meter hurdle race and run with Usain Bolt, and I've got a pretty decent mindset. I can switch on, in and out, and so on and so forth. But I'm still going to lose that running race.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This time next year, all you need to be a millionaire is your mindset. Really?
Yeah.
No, come on. I mean,
you see Harv Eker, right? I did read Harv Eker's book on the millionaire mindset, and you know, and it's I kind of like some bits of it, because I was walking the other day, and there was 10p on the ground, and I walked and I picked up the 10p, and someone saw me do it, and they went, "Oh, do you need you picking up change off the floor now?" I'm like, "Yeah, what? I'm £10. I'm 10 cents. 10. I said I'm 10 cents richer than becoming a millionaire." And they couldn't get it in their head. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't that. And I was like, well, mate, I don't care. I mean, my kids throw their change on their floor in their bedrooms. And if it's anything less than a £2 coin,
yeah, but your kids are teenagers, so everything goes on the floor. They have a floor drobe, not a wardrobe, right? You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, there's this, you could be a millionaire if you just change your mindset. Well, you might be a bit better and you might solve a few things, but if that was the case, there's an awful lot of people out there that I know would be multimillionaires, because they are some seriously switched on people, and they're not, but they are very, very switched on. The other thing is, when people talk about focus on the obstacle, I find that hilarious, because, put a 5-year-old on a bike and say, whatever you do, don't hit the goalpost at the end of the pitch. What do they do? They will.
It's like telling your kids when they pick up a plate that's got food on it, don't spill it. You're like, in your head, I'm like, that was a really silly thing to say, because quite clearly that is not their focus. But now that's all they can think of.
But coaches do that. They say, okay, focus on the obstacle, work out how to get around it. Okay, I'm focused on the obstacle. It's like when someone says, there's a guy, Richard, know quite well. He had this idea that he wanted to give up eating chocolate. So he put a sign on his mirror every morning, have a shave, and it says, give up chocolate. Of course, as soon as you say give up chocolate, the first thing comes to your head, chocolate. Yeah. Don't focus on the obstacle. Focus on where you want to be. Right?
You are right. There is a start and it's a process to it. Funny enough, John and I are putting together a program right now, which we can't talk about, which is 10 times 10, focusing on how you can benefit yourself and get you to a certain goal. Again, we're not going to talk about it until it's live and proud. But you are right. But there are so many different stages to this, and I think what's important is people realise that just because you can talk a good game. And let's use our relationship for an example, John. I'd imagine I'm fairly tried and tested, and I'm very testing to work with, to start off with. But creatively, I can come up with stuff that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think I'm 40 years old now, and I think I've got to this age in life where I've realised that the success that I want to get, and I will get to, is I need other people to join me to it. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people think, right, if I bring someone else along with my success, it means that my success is only half as viable, which is very quick. It's the last thing you want to think of. I think it's very important. Yeah, sorry, go.
Who's the third highest paid tennis player in the world today?
Djokovic.
No
idea.
Federer's coach.
Yeah.
But nobody knows his name. I can't remember his name either.
Yeah.
But nobody knows his name. The point is, even someone like him, you've got someone with you, right? It doesn't matter how good you are. Yeah. The chance of you doing it totally on your own is nil. Yeah, there are people around you, and you choose the people you surround yourself with to make it happen. That's the point.
It is, and when we were windsurfing, my brother and I, we had performance coaches, trainers, food coaches. We used to accompany a guy in Hawaii, a Maximum Performance Group, MPG, and it was you got yourself set up for the next event weeks ahead, and sometimes it was challenging because you went from event to event, but it was a very interested period of time, and I think. But those teams around you are pointing you in the right direction. And your talent is what gets you across the line once they've added all those things to you.
I would like to point out you clearly didn't have a style and fashion coach, obviously.
So funnily enough, we had a very good management company, a guy called Stuart Sawyer in the UK. And they called Chili Media. They made all the extreme sports stuff for the TV. And we were sponsored by Silk Cut cigarettes. That picture I sent you, that was me in the Sun Woman pull out. There's loads of those pictures, me in all different types of underwear. I sent you that one because it's me in a G-string. I did fashion modeling for GQ, Esquire magazine, all sorts of different magazines.
One of my clients was in GQ this week. Hypercar of the year, fantastic.
Yeah, nice. Well,
but no, there's point.
Spreading the magazine in a G-string, did they? No. And let me tell you, you would not want to see that now.
Well, it'd be a 3-page spread now. So
pull out.
what you were saying about sponsored by this, there's no attention to detail, and that's the other thing between high achievers, right? Nothing is left to chance. Everything. I'm not saying you get right down into the detail, but you make sure that every another phrase, every base is covered, right? You don't leave anything to chance.
That's correct.
That's the other thing about high achievers.
That's planning, right? That's so. To go back over this, Himanshu, mindset is important, right? But you improve your mindset, the better you're educated and prepared you are. I always say this: the 6 Ps. Piss poor preparation leads to piss poor performance. The more prepared you are, the less risk there is of. And if we look at this like a risk rating methodology, which we do in our space, in the financial services world, you are less liable to fail should you be prepared. It is simple, but also repetition improves. So, if I wanted to do press ups and I wanted to do 100 press ups, I wouldn't go out and just do 100 press ups. I would work myself up to 100 press ups if I had time. And it's a similar thing for that. So I think that's, let's move on from, vision and planning. So let's look at, let's swap this over now. And I'm going to go to performance management, performance management meaning. Let's look at.
Are you going to a dictionary again?
Yeah, I'm on this. You know how I am, dude. Okay, performance management, and I'm just going to read this to you. Performance management is a process of ensuring that a set of activities and outputs meet an organization's goals in effective and efficient manner. There is more to it, but so basically, however many years ago, large companies did yearly meetings. So you had your yearly review that determined your I know it seems funny, doesn't it? It seems
but performance management isn't just about people, it's about systems, it's about process, it's about all that kind of stuff. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You can have the worst system, rubbish processes, and okay people, and it'll be the people that get criticized. Performance management is not, but for most people they think of personnel, staff, HR stuff.
100%. So back in the day when they had every year you did your review and that determined it, and then you would have so you could literally do nothing all year, get to the end and they go, well, you've done nothing all year, we're going to get rid of you. So they had to find a way to be able to, companies try to find a way. So they brought in performance management, really simple. So it's the systems and everything you put in place, as John said. And then that structure is just like as what they said gets measured, gets done. It's a measuring, it's KPIs. I see a lot of people, especially in recruitment now, saying, you know what we don't want? We don't want to be, there's no, or the advertising for people to go and work in recruitment companies, there's no KPIs here. There's no, we're not going to make sure you've done 100 phone calls. And you're thinking, that's fantastic. Bet they don't last 6 months because, I know that not everybody wants to be micromanaged, but there needs to be some sort of way of understanding what
I wouldn't even want to join a company like that. If someone says, hey, we don't measure anything, there's no KPIs. Right. Okay. So how do I know if I'm doing an okay job? How do I know if I'm doing well? How do I know if I'm meeting your expectations? If you can't, you can't measure it, it has no value.
Yeah, exactly. And that, value is a good thing. Creating value and adding value. Funny enough, when I put people in for interviews, the worst of all is a bell-shaped curve. Yeah, I like that. Thank you, Himanshu, for joining in today. You're an absolute star, mate. You're a legend. So what's interesting is that I've totally lost my train of thought. You're right, John. I'm not quite there. But
you're not firing on all cylinders, are you, my friend?
The thing about companies is, and as a salesperson working in a company that's not necessarily a sales business, or I'm the only salesperson, it's a difficult environment to go, right, let's task everybody with the same task. Getting everybody on a call every day and go, right, guys, what sales have you done? Yeah,
but I'm not one for that. I was a client I worked for recently. They had a morning sales meeting, and it was like, right, we're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to, and it was brutal. It was a waste of 15 minutes time of 20 people. Think about the cost of that. 7 days a week. It's a full-time operation. And you're kind of, almost insulting to the people. It's like, if you've got to kind of browbeat them every morning, you need to think about the fundamental principles of the business. Yeah. I'm not saying you kind of go, hi guys, oh look, you're 10 minutes late. Don't worry about it. Chill, get a cup of coffee. I'm not saying that you need, sharp and snappy, but gosh, this was brutal. It was wrong, and it wasn't motivating, or it was, but in the wrong kind of motivation, right?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about performance management is there's a book actually, and I'll find it while we're having this conversation, and it's a study done by the Harvard Business School, and it's Harvard. It's called the Harvard Business Review article, and it's about performance management, and it's only like half an hour or something like that. It's definitely well worth listening to. You don't necessarily have to be in sales. If you want to manage your time and you want to understand how things work, performance management, a lot of people think is, basically you're just going to tell me at the end that I haven't done enough and so on and so forth. And that's totally not what it's about. And people misunderstand that. But I think it's something as well that you can use on your children, and you can get your children to do simple tasks, menial tasks, especially in an environment that we're in now, where kids have got to work from home or work from, still doing their homework from home. And what's interesting about both my kids is we're all isolated right now because we've all got the sea dog. And my youngest, he goes to school. He has learning difficulties, so he actually goes right now, but he can't. So he is literally playing his Xbox all day long, every day. And there's very little other than the outside coaching that we've got to give him that he can do in this environment. Whereas my middle 15-year-old, he has classes all day long. His teachers pre-do the class, pre-video it. They watch a little video, then they get the paper to do. They do it and submit it at any time during the day.
Yep.
Whereas my daughter she has to go and sit and listen to people talking live and so on and so forth. So it's a very different way of doing it. But all of them are missing out the interactions of human beings.
Gosh, yeah, we're social animals, right?
Yeah. And that's certainly not treating us like human beings in the house. I mean, it's just, it's like you move to a different room and then they all come into that room, and then you move to a different one and they come back into that room, and you're just like, seriously, can you just leave me alone? Here we go, another one from Himanshu. You don't need such frequent meetings if the vision expectations are set right. Yeah, that's right, Himanshu. And I think the thing about a dictatorship, right, is the vision lies in a locked room, and the dictator tells you what he thinks you need to know, and that is based on his level of understanding for his subjects, or his understanding for what he's trying to achieve, and he's going down that path. He'll have advisors and so on. A democracy is a whole bunch of people that don't know what they're doing, with a vision and target that was given to them by the people, and then they've got to eject that will and guidance over the people in that environment.
I mean, yeah, we shouldn't get into this, but if you want to know why democracy doesn't work, take 20 people to a curry house and say, right, we all have to agree we're going to order one dish, and it's all the same dish.
Yeah. Chicken tikka masala. No. Yeah. No, you're right. So, and I think that's what's interesting about this is people talk, the news, and we won't get political on this because we're but that's the difference between the dictator and a leader. Yeah, and you know what? If one person's making the decisions and they're telling you what you need to do, regardless of whether they're leading you to that process or not, it's still a dictatorship. Yeah. It's still one person that's making those decisions. And I think that nowadays the CEO of today is different to what the CEO was many years ago. I speak to CEOs every day. John, who is the CEO in our company, is a lovely guy. He's a fantastic guy. He's very open. And if I call him at any point, he'll have a conversation with me. He owns a multi-million-pound business, but he is the big dog. We call him the big dog. It is, we cannot make any decisions primarily until he has gone.
Yeah, but that's about, we go back to performance. That's about taking the team with you rather than, enforcing yourself on the team. Somebody just sent a note on Clubhouse. Okay. Yep. So taking the team with you, right? So back to sport again, right? You can stand in the middle of a rugby field and shout at people and they won't do it. But if you work together, train together, play together, and believe in each other, fundamentally different thing, any businessman can learn a lot from sport. Yeah. And that's why there's a big crossover between sport and you got, I know various people involved in sport who are now in business, including yourself.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about it is, and I manage football teams and so on, and I my kids team, I manage a men's team, and I think that what I find interesting is that it's not, you've got 11 players on your football pitch, right? One goalie, 10 outfield players. Finding not just the best place for them to play, but making sure that you're going to get the most out of them while they do it. I've always found the hardest thing. My middle son, Louis, he was a massive whinger. He's a lot better now. But he used to, if I asked him to play in a position, in fact, he's an exceptionally good right back. Mm-hmm. But when I was the manager, he didn't want to play right back. He wanted to play up front. He wanted to score goals. That's what kids want to do, right? So when I put him in right back, because that was his best place, he would just stand there, not play. And so to the point where I used to bring him off, drag him
not
off,
a team player then,
teeth home, because it was, it was interesting. But you're right, figuring out where people should play and where they should go is something that's been very interesting.
But nurture the spirit of what it means to be a team, right? It's like, I know you don't want to play there, but you got a choice. If you stand there and do nothing, your team's going to lose. Your team is going to lose.
What was interesting about what we did today as well is we had a brief chat before this, and we're doing a personal thing between us, and we looked at it and we went, right, we've got to provide this certain amount of information, 100 pieces of information, and we said, how are we going to do it? Oh, you're going to sit in the room and we're going to write it all out, and then we were like, no, okay, let's fill some stuff out, then talk about what we filled out, see if we're on the same page. Yeah, and because we are not on the same page, we're on the same page as far as we understand what we want to try and achieve, but we look at things slightly differently, which is why I think the stuff that we do works very well. So, and then we look at it, we make those adjustments, together, and then we move on from there. And I think that's, a lot of people can learn a lot about that. And I think, the relationship that we have on the stuff that we do, I think is really important for the success that we're going to have in the future, whether it's together or whether it's by ourselves. It will definitely move us on. So we're 32 minutes in. Anything else you want to add about though performance management and peak performance?
So again, sorry, the question. I was just looking down at the clock.
Anything you want to add about the two subjects, peak performance and performer?
No, but it's an interesting subject. I mean, you mentioned the mindset word, which has kind of become like everyone's jumping onto the mindset, and it's interesting because it's been around since the 1950s. I think it was a lady who was doing it as part of a university study. But it's become the big thing, right? Mindset, growth mindset, and all that kind of stuff. The reality is, growth mindset is great on your own, but in a business, the leadership skills you need to encourage a growth mindset within your team is quite a complex thing, and no one's talking about it. And the reasons no one's talking about it is because it is complex, and the coaches and all that haven't got, and I include myself in that. I gave a lecture on it. It's a difficult thing. So don't teach difficult things, teach the easy stuff. But developing a growth mindset within a business is all about peak performance, right? That's how you get to peak performance for a team, for a company.
And more businesses go bankrupt or close down because they can't grow with their market. So they get, a lot of people nowadays get good at marketing, but don't understand actually how to deliver. Delivery is important. We're on Clubhouse, guys, both John and my good self. We are at Makeup and at John Fuggles on Clubhouse. So if you're on there, please hook us up. I've got some fantastic stuff in the pipeline for you down the road. We are now live every Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock for Seedcast. You can get this at seed-cast.com. You go to the Mission 23 website. Please look at the stuff that John's doing. He's got some fantastic videos. He has got some great stuff that he's looking at from that. If you need any recruitment or consultancy in the financial services space, come and have a chat to me. Otherwise, we have got a fantastic network. John has created the Mission 23 network, which is a great group of people who are all from all different sectors, not just FS and growth, from all different spaces. And we would love to help and assist. So have a lovely evening here from Baker Towers and John in London. We wish you a wonderful evening. Have a good one.
Good night.